Well, love the balloons. We're back live, and I'm with Thomas Tighe, CEO of Direct Relief International. It's nice to have you here with us.
Thank you.
In Santa Barbara.
It's great to be here. Thank you, Oliver.
Of course, your organization is right here. We hear about it in the media all over the world. You're doing an amazing job. I read the statistics. I can go on and on. But what comes to mind is when Mr. Zimdin, the Estonian immigrant, started Direct Relief International. Of course, it had a different name in 1945.
Right.
And you are in your 60th anniversary.
Right.
How does it feel for you being part of this organization right now?
Well, you know, I came in almost 10 years ago. So for me, there was a strong element of don't screw it up, because it's great, you know. And I'd come from Washington, D.C., where I was the chief operating officer of the Peace Corps. But coming to Santa Barbara, which is such a great supportive town, and meeting this jewel of an organization that had been plugging away for 50 years, it's been an honor for me to kind of see what I could bring to it and keep it going. And, you know, organizations changing themselves is sometimes harder than starting a new one. So we've put the last several years into reinvigorating Direct Relief. We've expanded a lot. We've done a lot internationally, as we always have, and increasingly here in the United States, where we've found it possible to help people who are having a really tough time with obtaining medicines if they don't have much money or health insurance. It's a really tough problem, and Direct Relief USA now is the largest program of its type in the United States, providing free medications to uninsured people. So it's a great town. There's a great group of supporting people, and it's a pleasure to see you again. It's been a few years.
Sure is. It's been a few years. Well, I always have you in mind whenever I hear the stories in the media. I feel a connection with Direct Relief International because of the way they worked in the world, how they expand. They are an image to many other non-profit organizations, and you seems to be way ahead of the curve in terms of how you do things. A lot of time people wonder, how do you connect with these countries when there's a disaster? What is it that makes your organization different than most?
Right. Well, it's a good question. The only time we really get a lot of attention is in emergencies, a big disaster. But the reality is most of what we do is just every day looking for people doing good work in countries where there's not much money or areas where there's not much money. And there, as you know, there are great people everywhere.
Exactly.
You know, talent is pretty evenly distributed in the world, but opportunity is not. So there are people who are wonderfully smart, deeply committed, who are working in poor areas, and no one knows about them. So we try to find them and support their work on an ongoing basis, and that's who we key off of when an emergency happens. It's really hard to start something new in an emergency. So for us, the approach, whether it's Haiti or Pakistan, it's working with people that we've already been working with and just dialing it up and expanding the resource flows into the country. So we're basically a support organization, and our job is to find good people doing good work who need the types of resources that are easier for us to get, and then get the resources to them. In emergencies, we just have to do it much faster.
Because you're already an insider organization, like you said, it's already set up.
Right.
Are you more effective in terms of other organizations when it comes to disaster around the world?
Well, you know, I'm not sure how we compare to others, but I think we're always very mindful of, in emergencies, you have to do it right. You can't just have good intentions and flood in help. You have to know, in Santa Barbara, for example, there's 2 hospitals, Goleta Valley and Cottage. There's the neighborhood clinics. So if there was a big earthquake here or an emergency, you have to know them first. You can't fly in with teams of people and start setting up a hospital. They're very capable. They're glued into the community. So in our mind, it's important to know who the Cottage Hospital and neighborhood clinics equivalents are anywhere that we want to work. And that does make us more effective because we're really relying on the judgment of people who live there and have the most at stake, have the most insight into the community, and we're trying to support them.
Really. Of course, now you're working in Pakistan because of the
Right.
floods. That's the most recent disaster in the world. How is that working out for you right now?
It's been a really difficult response for us, just because, and everyone else, because of the nature of it was sort of a slow unfolding emergency that got huge and swamped a terrifically large portion of the country. You know, 12 million people, 1,700 people have died. But the problem is just where people that you're trying to serve are going. They're fleeing the floodwaters, and the other folks are trying to figure out where the people are going to land. So you can set up support services, health, medical, water, sanitation, and food. We had a series of calls very recently with the people we've been working with in Pakistan for the last 5 years, and they said, well, it's going to take a long time to rebuild. There's been a lot of destruction to the hospital and health infrastructure, but so far it seems to be in a new state of normal. The supplies that Direct Relief has sent, both from inside Pakistan and from here in the United States, have gotten to the people. And we're hopeful that we can continue this as we have for the past 5 years since the tragic earthquake in 2005. It never ends, right?
Never ends.
But it's good. The people are always going to be there. So I think for us to keep that steady stream of support with them and increase it whenever we can in emergencies is sort of the approach that we take.
What amazes me about your organization is that you are the first responders. Mm-hmm. You are the ones that are the first in those countries. Is that challenging for you? Is that something, there's a disaster and you have to be there?
Well, yeah, I mean, Haiti was a huge crisis for us and everyone, and most particularly the Haitian people. But we had been supporting these great groups in Haiti for years. And when we saw the earthquake had just devastated the capital, our team here in Santa Barbara got on a plane, got to the Dominican Republic, hopped on a helicopter, and were there, and knew that we had to set up our own distribution center because the partners' distribution centers were damaged. So it wasn't really that we aspire to be the first. We just want to help these people that need help, and they suffered an unimaginable tragedy. Really still difficult for me. My son Travis and I were there a few months ago, and it is difficult to comprehend 60,000 people trying to live on a golf course with no food, water, whatever tent material they could put up. And this has been 9 months now, and it doesn't look like there's anything coming soon. So I think to provide the continued support and make sure that their health stays as strong as possible, and it's a real challenge, but it's very rewarding to know that you can help people when they're stuck with these tremendous crises.
So your work continues even after the initial response?
Yes. In Pakistan, it's been 5 years of uninterrupted support, and now we've had to dial it back up again with the floods, but we would not be able to dial it back up if we didn't have local people that we knew and trusted and we'd worked out these relationships with. And that's really the hallmark of Direct Relief. It's to support the local people, because there are great people everywhere. They don't need teams of Americans flying in with all the answers. They're really smart. They're good doctors. They know their people and their languages. So really, sometimes the best thing that we can do is just support their work and bring in the resources that we have access to as Direct Relief International that they don't, because they're in Haiti or in Zambia or Ethiopia or whatever. It's just one of those chronic challenges.
Thomas, for you, you seem to have the passion to do this work, and of course you're a perfect fit for this organization. And I wanted to segue a little to something that I read from Trent Stamp. He says, how to decide what charity is best, that you have to look at the CEO first. And of course he was referring to you and explaining how well you run this organization and what it takes to make it successful. Of course, it's a nonprofit.
Right.
You only draw so much people to this organization because they don't get a lot of money. Right. They have to have the same passion that you do. Right. What is it that makes your organization work so well?
I know the people you interview, and it's energizing when you meet great people. Exactly. And we have the privilege every day, even in the worst situations in Haiti and Pakistan, the people we meet want to help. They're passionate, they're empathetic, so we have this this wonderful opportunity to see the best of people almost every day. We don't meet people who are trying to steal or
do something wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
hurt somebody.
Right. I mean,
they're all helpful, good heart.
Yeah, and smart and committed. So it does give you a very hopeful sense that we're going to be okay as a people.